God. Going too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay. Well, once it loads, there it goes, at Shadow Wolf. If you recall, Shadow Wolf had submitted a replay earlier this week, and because of glitches and whatnot, I wasn't able to get it up. This one isn't too bad, but you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the minimap, right? Like, we don't see the islands. Clearly, if we look out around us, we see islands. On the minimap, none. But whatever. The quality is it's good enough. We're going to take a look at the replay, mostly as well because new Russian destroyer, the Minsk, right? I have one. I haven't actually sailed her. I haven't sailed any of the Russian destroyers since the change. Not because there's anything wrong with them. I understand they are amazing. Just simply, destroyers, isn't necessarily my thing. I'm really more into cruisers, and if I'm gonna be playing anything at all, it most likely is going to be some sort of cruiser. There's only 2 destroyers right now that I'm really working on, but anyway, so we're gonna watch this replay with Shadow Wolf, and yeah, I might also this weekend, next week, maybe get some gameplay up of Tom Clancy's Wildlands. I did purchase myself a copy last night. I'm actually quite excited to play it. I'm going to get this video recorded, play as much and as long as I can until Supremacy League starts this evening on Friday. So that's basically my plan, but for now, we'll take a look at the Minsk. Now, the Minsk sits at tier 7. She has 2 torpedo launchers, 4 torpedoes in each one, and the torpedoes go 4 kilometers. Pretty basic stuff for Russian destroyers. It's really more about the guns. The guns themselves on the Minsk seem pretty good. I'm going to have to talk mostly in generalities here, folks, because I haven't actually sailed the ship myself, so I'm not 100% sure. So obviously, comments below. Correct me when I'm wrong. But the Minsk does have classic Russian attributes, right? In that she is very fast, which is always an excellent weapon. And I say weapon because speed is definitely a weapon in this game, and it is always great to have and to be able to utilize. I would imagine that the Minsk plays similar to Leningrad at tier 7 as well, Leningrad being the premium Russian destroyer, so probably somewhere in there. I mean, the Leningrad obviously would have its difference than the Minsk, but maybe somewhere in there. Anyway, we're assaulting this A-cap over here and just, taking a look around, seeing what enemies are there, not being too aggressive. And that's the way you do want to play your Russian destroyer. You don't, as a Russian destroyer, you really do not want to go out there and go out in front and start engaging enemies right up front and at the beginning of the battle, or really at maybe any point in the battle, unless it's pretty one-sided to your favor, because you are just not going to be able to then go unseen. Now, that being said, in the later tiers of Russian destroyers, your speed maneuverability is such that it doesn't matter that you're spotted. People are going to shoot at you, but the chance of them actually hitting you, as long as you're doing proper maneuvers and whatnot, is very low. I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in these mid-tier Russian destroyers that they're still fast and whatnot, but they're just maybe a little sluggish in the turn, and it's the sluggishness of the turn where you can get caught and take a lot of damage. Where in later tiers, where you can get your steering gear upgrades, like super upgrades and stuff, you can go ahead and sort of mitigate that a lot. But anyway, did manage to cap this A-cap zone over here, so this is great. We do have a lot of team support over here with us as well. Now, dangerous situation, right? It can be, because if your team does not continue the push and get to the next cap, then what you can find happens is the team just sort of balls up on the one cap that you have for the entire game, and it does very little good. Now, if you do ball up, in one cap the entire game, and the majority of the enemy ships are in front of you, if your team manages to kill all those enemy ships that are in front of you, you should probably fare pretty damn well out of it. But if you lose that battle, it's just going to be over. Unfortunately, we do see an Allied destroyer get murdered in front of us. Not so great, but Allied destroyer did leave us a bit of smoke, so we may as well pop into the smoke here while we can. See if we can't finish off a cruiser that's on very, very low health, a Miyoko, I believe. Oh man, the poor Miyoko. I remember back in the day, the early days of World of Warships, when really there were only two cruiser lines, the Americans and the Japanese, and the Miyoko was amazing. Amazing. I actually even remember when the Miyoko was at tier 8. It was just so good. And it still is pretty damn good, but it's been relegated into the position of the Thotgor, at least in my opinion, where it's a great ship. But everyone, and I mean everyone, has one, and not everyone is that good in it. And what results is a slaughter fest of annoyance, at least for me, because I just, and the Thotgor as well. It's a great ship, amazing ship, but I've been killed by a Thotgor so many times. We've gone over this anyway. Enemy New Orleans here seems to be on a death march in front of several Allied battles. Not sure what's going through the player's mind, but it obviously is not going to end well for this player. New Orleans cannot do this, especially considering, how many Allied ships Shadow Wolf has in and around him. Now, Shadow Wolf does get the kill there on the enemy New Orleans, which is pretty great, and you can see that we are getting ourselves kind of in a position now to push into B, and that's, Shadow Wolf for the most part right now. The team is, yes, balling up in and around A, but again, there's still time because, Shadow Wolf's team has killed a few people here, and it looks like a lot of the heavy enemy ships are to the south of A. There's still, time and a great chance that we can get some more caps and really just start slaughtering more of the enemy. Now, we do light a fire on that North Carolina before we leave. We can see our damage counter going up, so we know the fire is at least burning for a little while. And we're going to at least speed our way, kind of, into the direction of the B cap zone. Try and secure this cap zone. Another excellent aspect of these Russian cruisers. And I don't think, Russian destroyers. And I don't think I mentioned this yet, but your Russian destroyers are probably best played as light cruisers. Everyone that I've talked to sort of seems to say that, and I will repeat it because the sources I do trust. So yeah, it would make sense. Play them more as a light cruiser, and as a light cruiser, obviously you're going to be in the back. You're probably going to be spotted, but you're fast, maneuverable, nimble, kind of like your British cruisers. We have a full line of light cruisers already in the game, so if you have good British cruiser skills, it should be easy enough to transfer those over to Russian destroyers. Is that too far of a stretch? Maybe it's too far of a stretch for some people, not sure. Regardless, Shadow Wolf is getting himself into a nice position now to be able to start using some cover here and potentially start ambushing some people, right? Like this enemy destroyer here. Now, obviously, our allies are firing at the enemy destroyer as well. The tier 8 Akizuki? Tier 8 Japanese destroyer from the new line. I have one myself. She's interesting. I understand that in some upcoming patches she's going to get a whole lot better, so I'm fairly excited to at least have her in my port. But anyway, our allies do manage to finish that player off. Now we're kind of searching around, taking a look, right? We're still slowing down, using cover that we have on the port side of the ship, capping the point as well. But sort of eyeing this enemy ship here. What's this person doing, right? Once we take the B cap as well, with the cap advantage, it really does then open yourself up to being able to strike at the enemy as you see fit, right? Now, we did get lucky in this battle as well, because as it does turn out, the majority of the enemy ships were, in fact, behind the A cap zone pretty much the entire time of the battle. Now, there has been some interesting banter going on there in the whatchamacall chat, and being Canadian myself, yeah, Canada's pretty good. But anyway, we're going to move now over to the C cap zone and start seeing what we can do about potentially capping this as well. We do see some allies on the minimap who are in the north of C, so obviously they're going to be providing some resistance there to that enemy ship. And it looks like the enemy ship is, well, at least there's two enemy ships, right? So it looks like one of them is going to be fairly easy to take out by our allies. But we do have this enemy ship over here, the one that we've been looking at for a little while now, and it does look as though this player is just sort of sitting there. It's like, well, if this is the sort of game that you want to play, friend, not a problem. And I really do enjoy how Shadow Wolf is making full use of the cover here, right? Even it going into this little cove here while he's approaching the enemy battleship. Enemy battleship has no idea what's about to happen. Not a clue at all. What's all this going through this battleship's mind is, oh, look, I'm in the back and I get to snipe. This never is a good plan, battleships. I hate when people do this, but they do it all the time. Now, we do have an enemy, what is that, a Sims maybe over there as well? Our torpedoes are on the way for the enemy battleship. Hopefully those will take out the enemy battleship. And it looks like 2, 3, yes, 5 torpedo hits. Enemy battleship is gone. We have a few shots going into the enemy Sims. If we could take out the Sims, oh, I think the time has passed. We almost got ourselves a nice double kill, but whatever. We can see the Sims is now going to pop smoke, potentially slow down as well. We do need to keep an eye out for the torpedoes on the Sims. I think it's 8 kilometers that they go. There we go. Managed to finish the player off. But they're fairly slow and they do very little damage. Now, if they hit us in the belly, it probably would be enough to kill us anyway. Excellent job here, by the way. 2 enemy ships remaining, and those 2 enemy ships that are remaining are, you know, still way in the back, in and behind A. So not really a great play by the enemies, and a good example too, you know, for both sides. If you're on the team where you see the enemy is doing this, well, you know, as long as you can put up a bit of a fight there against the majority of the enemy ships, whatever cap they're sniping on or whatever like that, you know, and send out a few of your destroyers and maybe cruiser to go cap the other points while your heavier ships battle it out and win that battle, is going to be a pretty decisive victory. On the flip side of that, if you notice your team is doing this, I don't know what you can do to stop it, because I mean, you can yell in chat all you want. All that's going to get you is probably a chat ban. You can ping the map. You could point out how people need to move, but sometimes it's just not going to work. Random people will do random things. And that's just what's going to happen. Now, we are finally capping the last cap zone here to give us all 3 caps. We managed to take out one of the enemy ships that was remaining, only one remaining now. And you can see Shadow Wolf is getting himself into this cap as quick as he possibly can, which is a great call, by the way, because, you know, gather as many cap point things as you possibly can, because those do pay big rewards when it comes to the end of the battle and experience and credits earned. So you really do want to pay attention to actually getting these caps, right? It is part of the game. So we're almost at 1,000 points. Taking a look at the overall damage here, 69,000, somewhere in there. Pretty good game in the Minsk here. I gotta say, this is the first time, because like I said, I haven't taken out the Minsk at all, and none of the new Russian destroyers as of yet, anyway. But this is the first time that I'm actually seeing, you know, actual gameplay of the Minsk. Yeah, I think Kiev has been the only one I've looked into, and Ognivoy, now that I think about it. Yeah, but I haven't seen anything on the Minsk, so I was glad that a Minsk replay was submitted. And don't forget to everyone else, submit your replays. 152,000 credits earned, 2,500 experience, 64,000 damage is what we did end up with. 5 torpedo hits to 3 kills, you know, a bit of fire going on there. Completed some combat missions as well. 1,700 base experience when all is said and done. And you can really see the cap point experience coming into play here, right? We can see how some of the damage has been spread out amongst the enemy. That was an Iowa, apparently, that we killed. Man. That poor Iowa. Yes, he should have known better. But anyway, even on a standard account, we do end up walking away with 107,000 credits, and once again, the 2,500 experience. That is all for today's video. Like I say, you know, let's see what I'm saying about Tom Clancy's Borderlands. Not Borderlands, Wildlands. I always want to say Borderlands. But anyway, see what that's saying, and then hopefully maybe get a few videos on that out. So as always, folks, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. I love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.